Welcome to the Army Painter Academy, our series of helpful video and graphic tutorials that you can find on your preferred social media channels and on our blog at thearmypainter.com. At the Army Painter, we have smart paint systems designed to help make painting easy, fun, and fast, no matter your skill level or technique of choice. In this edition of the Academy, we're going to teach you 3 ways to paint green armor using the speed painting method, a traditional layered method with the Warpaints Fanatic range, and the airbrushing method with our airbrush-ready Warpaints Air range. We're using a Space Marine from the Games Workshop's popular Warhammer 40,000 range, so these recipes would be fit for a Dark Angel or Salamander from the lore. Starting with the speed painting method, we're starting with Color Primer Matte White. Speed paints are designed to be applied over light colors or zenithal primed base coats. Using Skeleton Bone or Brain Matter Beige will give a warm finish, where Ash Gray will help to desaturate your speed paint of choice. Matte White, like we're using here, will give the most vibrant and highest contrast finish. With a large brush like our Wargamer Regiment brush or Monster brush, apply a liberal coat of your speed paint of choice. We're using Orc Skin, a strong green. Focus on areas like the boots first before moving up to the legs, torso, and arms. This will allow you time to focus on that area before the speed paint dries to ensure smooth, even coverage without any of the paint overpulling in any of the details. And one coat is all it takes for speed paint thanks to its vibrant coverage and instant shadow. If you're using speed paint as a base color, you're ready to begin chipping or highlighting away. The traditional method requires a base coat of acrylic paint. We're starting with a neutral primer with uniform gray to show off the insane coverage properties and smooth performance of the Warpaints Fanatic range. Now, if you wanted to save a step, try priming in Color Primer Angel Green, which is a color match to the Warpaints Fanatic color we're using as a base coat here. Thin your paint with just a bit of clean water and use a regiment brush to apply a smooth coat all over the armor of the Mini. Once complete, you'll apply a shade to the model using Dark Tone Wash. These specially designed transparent paints are designed to add depth and contrast to your miniature, as the pigments are designed to flow over the raised areas and into the recesses. Now, the wash will slightly darken the base color a little bit, so allow your wash to dry and re-establish your base color of Angel Green on the armor, leaving the deeper pigments in the shadows. Just color inside the lines created by the wash. If you don't know already, Warpaints Fanatic was developed in a clever, flexible color triad system, which makes it easy to add volume and detail to your miniatures, as each color is designed to work in progression. For example, we will apply a layered highlight of green skin to the raised areas and blend this to where we want the highlights to be, towards the top of the panels of the armor. Now, you can also use this color to apply your first edge highlights. Using our Warpaint Stabilizer will help retain uniform pigment dispersion even when thinned to extreme levels, which will be really helpful when glazing and blending your volumetric highlights like Steffen from the studio team is doing here. We'll follow that up with a controlled highlight of Wild Green, which we've thinned with a bit of our Warpaint Stabilizer for some additional control. Be as neat as you can and thin your paints for ultimate control here. In many cases, like the hard edges of the shoulder pauldron, you can actually use the edge of your brush to trace your highlight on very simply. Now, we're only using 3 colors from the Deep Greens Flexible Triad, which is more than enough for most tabletop-ready paint jobs, but if you want even more subtle blends, you can put the other 3 colors from the Triad to work. Now, on to our final method for painting green armor, this time with the Warpaints Air range. If you're new to airbrushing, you'll love how easy to use these paints are. Unlike other so-called airbrush paints, ours are actually ready to use right from the bottle. Of course, you can thin them more if you'd like to. We offer some great airbrush primers, but to save even more time, our 2-in-1 color primers work in a literal pinch. Now, our first airbrush layer will be Savage Green. We'll leave some of that darker Angel Green primer in the shadows. Using Savage Green will give a brighter, more fitting for a salamander type of green, as opposed to the Lion's Secret Keeping Suns. That's a little war humor for you. Okay. If you'd like to paint the Unforgiven, you could use Unforgiven Green from this Angel Green airbrush triad, of course. Next, we're going to apply a highlight with green skin in a top-down zenithal fashion, leaving some of the previous color in the shadows. A reminder that green skin from the Air range is also a color match to green skin from Warpaints Fanatic and the Color Primer range, which makes it super easy to tidy up any mistakes later on. We're moving on to Feral Green from the Triad for a more refined application, leaving some of the previous colors in the shadows. You'll want to be as sparing as you can with this application. We're going to add even more contrast and shading to the miniature with Green Tone Wash. Unlike the traditional method, we'll apply this precisely into the crevices and details to protect all of our airbrush gradient work in the previous steps. Now once that's dry, you can continue to apply layered or edge highlights, but there's more than one way to add detail to your minis. We're using a sponge tip chipping brush here and some of our wild green from the Fanatics range to add some textured weathering and detail to the miniature. The contrast of smooth volumes and rough edges makes for a quick yet really effective finished effect. And there you have it, 3 ways to paint green armor. You can utilize these steps for armor, robes, heraldry, or even monstrous scales. Subscribe for more from the Army Painter Academy and learn more about the products used in this tutorial at your friendly local game store, preferred online retailer, or when you visit us at thearmypainter.com.